Hello all and welcome to Astro Wheel of Fortune. My name is Vlada and I read tarot, and today we're doing a reading on how do babies and children view you. So I have the oracle cards pre-shuffled for these groups. We've got group 1, group 2, group 3 and group 4. This is just going to be like a general reading on how do babies and children view you, what do they get from you energetically. I just thought it would be a fun reading to do. Um, yeah, with that, I don't think I have anything else to say in terms of introduction. I think we can just get started. And if you want to pause the video and meditate over the cards and see which one's pulling your attention more, maybe it's multiple cards, maybe it's none of them. If you don't feel pulled to any of them, maybe this reading is not for you. If you feel pulled towards all of them, feel free to watch all of them. It's completely up to you, but I'm gonna get started. So we're starting with group number 1. So group number 1, here's your oracle cards. I'll also be live shuffling tarot, but first and foremost, let's get started on the oracle cards. So how do babies and children see you, group number 1? You've got 9th house, faith, stag spirit, take the lead. We've got student. Oh, I can see a correlation here with the 9th house. We've also got rebel. I think it's interesting actually that we've got the tree, like this person's sitting on a tree and this person is like part of a tree. And also like we've got the stag and there's branches. So branches the visual of branches is important. So I'm going to think about what that could mean. Okay. We've also got memory, rosemary. And one last card we've got is Cosmic Highway. The universe is on your side. Signs, divine guidance, synchronicity. But I also feel like the highway makes me think of travel as well. Like the 9th house can be about traveling. You seem, whatever concept that babies and children could have about someone being well traveled, that's what they think of you. There's this kind of concept that you have seen parts of the world that maybe other adults haven't seen, that you are in some way clued in or aware when it comes to cultures, when it comes to other places in the world that other people haven't been privy to, adults. You seem like an adult that likes to move around a lot. You seem like an adult who who's very busy, but at the same time not busy in this like chaotic or sporadic way. I feel like children feel a sense of like this person travels and they have adventures. Like the way that children and babies look at you, it's kind of like, wow, this adult must have a lot of fun adventures that they go on. They must have so many fun things that they see. You seem like a wanderer in their eyes. Maybe you talk about your holidays or, going on trips a lot. But I feel like the whole thing of the branches and the trees, I am even feeling with the stag horns, like the antlers that are coming out, it kind of makes me feel like children feel like you would be the kind of adult that would live like in a tree house, or you almost have that kind of childlike energy to you, but it's not super childlike. I almost feel like you give off an energy of a kind of rebellious teen to children and babies. So they feel a little bit closer to you energetically rather than like adults maybe. Because, but at the same time, they don't necessarily see you as a peer, don't necessarily see you as like a fellow child, or a fellow childlike energy. They see you more like a cool teen cousin that they don't get to see very often, and goes on a lot of adventures and has a lot of really cool stories, and knows a lot and has studied a lot of things, and maybe maybe there is even a sense of you being well educated, but again, take it from the perspective of like a baby, whatever baby's concept or a child's concept of being well educated or knowing a lot. Like, to put it very simply, it's like, it seems like you know a lot. Like, you have a lot of knowledge about a lot of things. I feel like children really cherish their memories with you. I feel like you are really good at engaging with children from a imaginative perspective. You're really good. I feel like you would be an amazing educator. Like you would be someone who would be excellent at like teaching kids. Like you would literally, maybe some of you are, maybe you are a teacher. Maybe you are a teacher, maybe you teach in school or in kindergarten, because there is this sense that, but you're not the kind of teacher that is like very hoity-toity, very like, you know, I'm better than you and I know more than you, even though it's the underlying energy is like, yes, you know more than them. You present yourself as someone who's also learning from them. So maybe you're the kind of person who asks children a lot of questions. You might always kind of be like, well, what do you think of this? It's like, here's what I think. What do you think of this? What do you think we should do? And even though the child can grasp that you know more than them, they still really appreciate this willingness from you to learn from them. It's like you're a leader and you take the lead, but you're still very willing to learn and to listen. You're not like a blind, you don't blindly lead, and that's the way that children and babies see you. They see you as this energy that's um captivating is not the right word. You're really like, I feel like if you were a teacher in a school, every child would love going to your class, because going to your class is not just like sitting and reading things from a page, not just sitting down and like writing loads of essays or whatever. There would be conversations, there would be you know, a level of play involved. There would be a level of engagement that they don't get from other classes. And so the energy that I'm getting is like a really cool teacher who is cool enough that they're engaging with you and they're asking you questions, but they're not like trying to be your best friend. They're not trying to be your, you know, they're not trying to get the students to think that they're cool. They're just cool, you know, that kind of way. I think that's very interesting. So I want to split this energy now by using tarot. I want to split this energy into how do babies see you and how do children kind of like, let's say babies, will we go up to 2 years maybe? That'll be kind of like baby toddler energy, and how do they view you, and then we'll look into kind of like the old children from like upwards from that and older children. But yeah, let's start with babies and kind of like younger, very young energies. How do they view you going off this energy that we have here? We've got the 9 of Cups. See, even here she's like on a beach, and it seems like she, you know, is like she's probably traveled to the beach and she's probably come here to like relax. So it does feel like you're someone who it's not just that you travel, but you know where to travel, you know where to find the best adventures. That's the way babies view you. But you also, I feel like there's a serene energy around you. There's a peaceful energy around you. With this 9 of Cups specifically, like she seems very, very calm, serene. She seems very content. I think babies see you as very content with your life. You feel like you don't need anything from anyone. It's like you have everything you need. I also feel like a lot of children and babies, even if they don't have the grasp of the concept of gratitude, can see that you are very grateful for everything you have in your life and everything that you've experienced in your life. We've got the Moon card. That's very interesting. I feel like the babies that you interact with, or any baby that you interact with, senses some sort of intuitive connection with you. There's like something intuitive there. But I also feel like a lot of babies, when they look at you, and like if they, you know, like if a baby stares at you, if you're in a shop or something like that, I think some of them can almost sense that you have intuitive gifts, because the 9th house can talk about spiritual knowledge, more so rather than maybe abilities, but maybe you have a lot of spiritual knowledge, I would say. Maybe you're someone who like studied spirituality, theology, religion. Yeah, because I'm getting those kind of concepts like theology, religion, spirituality, looking at spiritualities from different angles, from different cultures. And it's almost like it's so funny to say, but babies feel like you know a lot about spirituality. It's like you know what spirituality is about to some extent, more so than the average adult. It's like you seem to hold so much knowledge that is spiritual, and you hold it not in a. It's kind of like you're not arrogant about it. That's the thing. That's the appealing thing that I'm getting here. It's like you're not arrogant about it. I do feel like that some babies can feel a little bit confused in your energy. Maybe babies feel more confused in your energy than like older children. But I feel like sometimes that is because you're so. I just feel like your energy is very, like, you want to use the word potent, but I feel like there's a better word to use here. Um, there's just, it's almost, it feels like your energy has borrowed from so many different directions and so many different elements. Your energy doesn't come just from one source. It kind of feels like it comes from a lot of little different sources and it mixes together. And so when babies observe you, they can almost sense the different avenues through which you have sourced your energy. Again, it's like you have loads of branches coming out of you. Maybe that's the way your energy looks to babies. It's like you have branches coming out of you energetically. And different branches are taking from different sources. And even here you can see the branches have books on them. So it's kind of like each branch has a different book. So like every book is affecting you. And you're taking little pieces away from each book. You're taking pieces away from each educational piece or material that you are reading or looking at. Is there anything else you want to say about the babies? We've got the King of Pentacles. So with the babies, I do feel like a lot of babies just feel very safe around you, but confused. Like that's the energy that I'm getting. It's like they don't feel confused in a way that it's chaotic or they're scared or anything like that. There's this sense of like, I feel safe with this person. I feel comfortable with this person, but they still confuse me. They seem like a nice person. They seem like very chill. They feel relaxed to me. I feel relaxed beside them, but yet it's like they don't make sense to me completely. That's the way a baby would look at you. That's the feeling that I'm getting, because I feel like the best way to describe how a baby feels about you, because like they probably don't have a lot of verbal thoughts, or verbal thoughts, I don't know how to say it, but like the thoughts are not in words or phrases. It's in a feeling. So I am getting that feeling of like, I feel safe with this person. This person feels like they're very safe to be around. I feel protected when I'm around them. They seem to really be grateful for everything they have in their life. They seem to be very content in themselves, but they confuse me a little bit because there's so many different energies that seem to be connecting to them. There's so many different things that seem to be connecting to them. You might be someone who's interested in a lot of things, and it's like almost energetically babies can pick up on that. Okay, so let's look into the children energy, and I want to use a different deck for that. So the older children, the more kind of older children, how do they view? So the older children see you in a slightly different light. That's very interesting. We've got yeah, I feel like this energy, the overall energy that I'm picking up here with the 9th house, and like not just the 9th house, but all of these cards, I feel like it pertains more so to children. So maybe you don't spend a lot of time around babies. Maybe you're not someone who's like around a lot of babies, but maybe you have more experience with children. But a lot of children see you as like an eternal scholar, eternal student, a very vibrant student though, someone who loves learning and loves to share their learning, and also someone who loves to research things and get lost in a research loophole almost. That's what a lot of children pick up from you. And I feel like children that are kind of like that themselves, like maybe very mercurial children, or children with a lot of very strong Mercury placements in their chart, could be very attracted to your energy because it resonates with them. You feel like a leader, but not a leader who needs to be in control of people. Oh, that's really sad, but like not I'm really getting that some children feel like maybe they're not interesting enough for you to be around, but you always reassure them. There's this sense of like, maybe children sometimes feel like, oh, this adult doesn't find me interesting. How could they find me interesting when they have so many interesting experiences that they've had, so many interesting adventures that they've been on? How could they possibly find me interesting? But then you reassure them like, hey, I find what you're doing really interesting. Oh my God, tell me about this. Tell me about your hobby. Tell me about the book you're reading. And all of a sudden they're like, oh, wait a second, maybe they do find me interesting. There is a very strong sense of respect towards you. Very strong sense of respect towards you from children that are a little bit older. Um, just something about your energy to children and babies feels very safe, but it also doesn't feel like you don't feel like a super protector or anything like that, or you don't feel it's not this very stable energy. It's a little bit more there's more movement to your energy. Like you don't feel like someone who's going to stick around all the time. You feel like someone who will be there sometimes, but then you also need a lot of your own space. That kind of feeling. It's like you are an adult who and again, apply this obviously if it's your own children. I'm sure that's not the case, but it just kind of feels like children, let's say children that you meet, like maybe nieces or nephews, or children that you interact with, like your friends' children or something like that, or whatever it is, or cousins or whatever. They view in that kind of way of like, group one, they're not always here, but when they are here, I love interacting with them. They're not when they are here, I feel super safe with them. When they are here, I want to hear their takes on things, and I want to tell them my takes on things. I feel like children get really excited to share information with you, especially children that read books. They may want to always like tell you about like what's going on in the book that they're reading, for example, or what's going on in the story that they're even like maybe making up themselves. You really foster a sense of, you encourage information sharing when it comes to children. There's this natural knack, and that's why I feel like you would be a really good teacher, or you have this natural teaching ability, especially when it comes to younger kids or just kids in general. You're good at making people feel like they're safe to share information, to share their opinions, and to share their knowledge, and that they won't be ridiculed. And that's what I feel is like the most appealing thing about you is to children, that if they were to share their favorite book and what goes on in their favorite book, and if they're to share their interests and their knowledge, you're not going to go, you're stupid, you don't know anything, or like you're not going to go, oh, don't be silly, that information doesn't make any sense. You would be the kind of person to talk to them about the information that they just gave you, and if it is wrong, you're going to correct them, but you're going to correct them in this very unassuming, very laid back way. It's not going to be this arrogant or begrudging way. It's going to be this way of like, okay, well, where did you read that information? And who told you this? Oh, well, I've heard that it's actually this. Do you think it could be this? Like, there's that kind of energy and exchange that I see between you and children. But I do feel like children see you as a leader, but not the kind of leader. It's a leader you want to follow, but the leader that's not going to be like, you're kind of the leader that would turn around and go, oh, you're following me? Well, if you want to follow me, you can, but you don't have to follow me. Like, that's the energy that I'm getting. It kind of feels like you could be the kind of person who would be sitting down and drawing or doing something, and a child would come up and they would want to get involved in what you're doing, and they would want to be like, oh, what are you doing here? You might be painting a picture, and a child would come up and watch you paint a picture because they really find it fascinating, and you would talk to them about what you're doing. You would be a person who's really good at like teaching children how to cook, teaching children how to do basic things. It doesn't have to be that you're teaching them literal information. That it's like, school syllabus or curriculum. It can be literally as simple as you teaching someone how to bake, teaching a child how to tie their shoelace. You are a really natural teacher, and I feel like if you are a parent, or you want to be a parent, one strength that you will have as a parent with your children is having compassion and having patience to teach people or kids how to better themselves. You have this natural passion because you see learning as so important. You see knowledge as so important. And so you understand that like learning and knowledge and education, that all takes time. And you want to be able to like teach children something, or, you know, help children learn a skill or two. If you can be of assistance there, you're like, I'm right there. I want to do it. I want to help. Yeah, very interesting group. Group number one. That is how babies and children view you. And that's what I have for you for this group. If you like this reading, do like, subscribe, and comment, especially with your feedback. I'd love to hear what you think. If you have any feedback and feel like sharing it, please do in the comments below. But I'm going to move forward. And we're moving on to group number two. So, group number two, let's get into it. How do babies and children view you? What's the energy like? We've got Void of Course Moon, Wolf Spirit, Dawn 1, Grounding, Take It Easy, Relaxation, Rest, and Pause. I'm not gonna lie, some children may feel like you're a little bit unapproachable. It's not always in a bad way, but you do seem like a little bit of a lone wolf. You do seem like someone who has a lot of things on their mind or has a lot of things to get done. You seem to be very grounded in the adult world to other children. You seem very responsible. But a lot of children don't know maybe how to approach you. There might be a little bit of a confusion, like, how do I approach this person? You just feel very adult to kids. Like, you might have like an you seem like a very busy adult. Like, you have a lot on your plate, or you have a lot to get done. And I wouldn't even say in a, like, it's not that you're rushing around or running around, because you seem very grounded to children and babies. You seem like you're very grounded in reality. But you might pride yourself on being very realistic. Like, there might be this sense of, I just feel this very strong energy of like, I'm very realistic, I'm very logical, analytical, to the point. And some children don't know how to interact with that sometimes, because maybe, you know, they're more grounded in imagination. And maybe they struggle with realism. But I also feel like a lot of children see you as someone who needs more rest, who needs a break. Maybe you work really hard, group two. Especially if you have your own children. Your own children could be under the impression that you need more rest. And so maybe sometimes children don't want to bother you because they can tell energetically that you're very tired and that you need rest and that you don't have the energy to entertain them as much as they want to be entertained, for example. Because I'm not getting an energy that I don't think they sense a coldness with you. I don't think it's like you're cold and unfeeling. It's more like you're very grounded, you're very realistic, you're very practical, and you have a lot on your plate, and you're busy, and you need a break. I wonder if, like, whenever you're around kids, whatever kids you're around, maybe like their parents are always like, well, leave group two alone. They've had a very hard day. They're very busy. Don't annoy them now. Like, that's the kind of energy that I'm getting. Maybe it's because the adults in these children's lives always talk about how busy you are, always talk about how much you have on your plate, how much there is to do. You seem very involved in very adult things to kids. That's what it's like. Kids are like, well, I don't really understand what group two does for a living, or what kind of relationships group two has, or what they do in general day to day, but it seems all very adult. It all seems very adult. It all seems very grown up. I can't understand it. I can't comprehend it yet. And again, it doesn't have to be true, but that's just the perception that I'm picking up on with group two. But I do feel a lot of children feel very safe around you, in that kind of sense that, like, even though they wouldn't know how to have like a conversation with you maybe sometimes, or wouldn't want to bother you sometimes, you feel like someone who would protect them if if it came to it. So like if there was something that happened that was like dangerous or scary, that you would be the first person to protect everyone. These children could even see you as the protector of the adults in their life. So it's like if it's a child and let's say it's your nephew or niece or whatever, let's say, so your, let's say your sister, whether you have a sister or not, this is just an example. Let's say your sister has a couple of children and they view you as not only not just a protective energy, but they see you as the protector of your sister. So if you have siblings, for example, your siblings' kids see you as the protector of their siblings, that kind of way. Or they see you as the protector of the overall community, of the overall family. That's the energy that I'm picking up on. And so they feel very safe because they know you're there to protect your siblings and, therefore them, because they're like your, like if the child is your sister's child, it's like, they're like, well, if group 2 protects my mom, then I will also be protected because I'm part of that unit. Like I'm kind of getting leader of the pack. It kind of feels like, the way in like the Jungle Book, and it's all these little wolves, and then there's the leader of the wolf pack, and it kind of feels like the leader of the wolf pack is more, it's not a very super nurturing energy or very playful energy, but it's the energy that the little wolf cubs would respect and really see value in that archetype or that energy. That's what it feels like. It kind of feels like children see you as a bit of a leader of the pack, a protector of the pack, very grounded, very realistic. And so children to some extent understand that you have to be kind of grounded and calm and removed so that you can lead the pack effectively. There is that kind of feeling. But it's more kind of subtle energy. That there's a subtleness to your connection to children. It's like children respect you, but they don't always know if they should bother you or say things to you. I feel like children wouldn't really reveal a lot to you unless it was a child that you were very close to. But I feel like when you're very close to a child, let's say if you had a niece or a nephew, like I think it's called a nibbling, it's like if you were very close to them, they would probably tell you a lot, but it's not very many children that would do that, if that makes sense. But you feel very grounded to children, but you feel just very adult to children. They're like, wow, that's a real grown up, like that's the energy that I'm getting. It's like when they look at you, they're like, you know what, some grown ups don't feel like real grown ups, but that's a real grown up. That's what a real grown up adult person is. We've got the 7 of Wands. So I'm asking, sorry, I was asking in my head and sometimes I forget to announce what I'm asking. So I'm splitting these into babies and children. So babies we're kind of doing maybe up to 2 years of age. And then we're going to look into kind of older children and what slightly older children might think of you. So we're starting with babies. We've got the 7 of Wands. Got the Page of Wands. Babies feel immature around you. Babies feel immature around you. Like, that's so funny. Imagine a baby being like, oh my god, am I too immature for this adult? But there is that sense of like, it's like kids and babies, but specifically babies already know that you are very, very adult and there's a very adult energy to you that there's a sense of like, I am too immature, or I have nothing in common with this person, and maybe that's just like first impressions, and again, take it as the perception rather than exactly how you are. But I feel overall with the Knight of Cups, it's like positive energies, because the Knight of Cups talks about emotional connectedness and feeling positivity and feeling like a light emotional energy. babies don't feel too bogged down by your energy, or they don't feel like they have to have their life figured out. In a way, it's good, because I feel like, for example, if you're ever a parent, or if you are a parent, your children will never feel like anything is their responsibility prematurely. You know, the way a child can feel like, it's their responsibility to make sure that the family's doing well, or the emotional well-being of other people is good. But I feel like children in your presence don't feel like, they don't feel responsible for anything. They don't feel like they should be responsible for anything, or that they should feel bad about anything. But with the baby energy, I definitely feel like there's positive feelings, but it's very often kind of like, that's an adult, I'm a baby, I'm going to hang out with someone who's more closer to my energy. You might even, I don't know if some of you, I don't know, like, you might say that you don't like kids, or maybe you don't like kids, or maybe you just don't like kids to such an extent that you want to hang out with them all the time. Like, there could be that kind of energy to you, and I think kids and babies pick up on that. But I almost wonder if there's a sense, this is so strange, but there's a sense of accomplishment when a child or a baby notices that they have won you over in some sort of way. So maybe you're not like super warm, or super, and not in a mean way, but you're just not super warm to every single child. You're not super smiley and engaging with every single child. But when a child feels like they've won you over, or they've connected to you in a special way, they can tell that that's very special, that doesn't happen often, that you don't just like hang out with babies or kids. And especially babies, I feel, when they know that they've in some way have charmed you, it feels like an accomplishment. I feel like there is this like energetic, as I was explaining in group number 1, like looking at an energy of a baby, it's like they're not thinking in words or phrases. So I'm trying to describe the feelings. So it's this feeling of accomplishment, like, I've charmed this person, that's great. No other baby or no other child could charm this person, but I did. Like, there is this kind of accomplishment that I'm feeling from this person, or this person, from this baby, from babies. Maybe there is like one specific baby that you're completely like adoring of and charmed by, and that baby definitely senses that sense of accomplishment. It's like, yes, mission accomplished. That's what I'm getting here. Okay, let's move forward into like, what do older children think of you and feel about you? So we've got the Four of Pentacles in reverse. I'm hearing set in their ways. So maybe group 2 kids might feel like you're set in your ways in some sort of way, like you are set in, and again, this is not a negative thing or anything like that. It's just, you may appear like someone who has a strong sense of rules, that you seem like you have strict rules for yourself, at least. Or maybe if you're a parent, or you, if you're a teacher or anything like that, or you interact with children quite often, you seem strict enough. Like, there is a strictness to you that children sense, but I don't think it ever feels like overwhelming or bad. It's just like, kids can tell that you have strict rules for certain things, and you're strict about certain things. Yes, the Hierophant. Do you know what? I feel like that's a very strong energy of the leader of the pack. I feel like that's very resonant. It's like, you have strict rules, you have strict code that you live by, and no matter how cute a baby or a child is, you're not gonna give that code up, that kind of way. So it does feel like a lot of kids see you as some sort of authority, almost. Like, I feel like you'd be the kind of, the way in movies they always have like the headmaster, and the headmaster is like really strict, and they're almost unfeeling in their conversation, but you can tell they're like maybe a softie on the inside, like very deep down. This is the energy that I'm getting with you and how children perceive you. It's like, there's a sense of authority around you. You have this headmaster, leader of the pack kind of energy. Headmaster, that's interesting. Or like a principal that walks the school, but it's like, they're not a principal that shouts at kids. It's a principal that their whole presence is like, it's quiet enough, but it's also very potent. Like your quiet presence is very felt and seen by children, and children recognize, and like there's some sort of unspoken respect that kids have for you. But at the same time, maybe they don't feel like they can get too close to you, or maybe only certain children feel like they get to do that. But it's a very grounded, very realistic. You're the person, like, you know, if a disaster breaks out, you will be the person to deal with it. You're the person who's gonna, it's kind of like you're the ultimate adult in the room. You know, the room could be full of adults, but you're the ultimate adult. You're the adult that has their shit together. You know, that kind of way. I think that's what kids get energetically from you. They look at you and they're like, you know, in case of a disaster, I'm looking to that adult because that adult will know what to do. That's what I'm feeling for this, for you, group number 2. Is there anything else I'm picking up? Let's see. Oh yeah, I just wanted to talk about this, like, relaxation, rest, and pause. I do feel like a lot of these, especially with the pentacles here, I feel like the older children pick up on the tiredness a little bit more than maybe the babies do. And there is this sense of you doing a lot for people, because with the Six of Pentacles, I'm getting like this. Some children think that you do too much for other people, or that maybe you are very overworked in some way, like maybe you do very long hours and whatever it is that you do for career. Again, maybe you don't see it that way, but it's just the way that it's perceived by children. It just feels like you never get a minute to yourself. You never get, and when you do, you cherish that, and so it's like the kids want to respect that for you as well. It's like you never have time to relax. You never have time to sit down and pause and chill. And so the children kind of look at that, and it's like energetically they can sense that. It's almost like telepathically they can understand that you need space. I feel like a lot of children understand that you need space, and maybe the current energy that you're in is truly that you need space because you do work a lot and you do work hard. But yeah, that's what I have for you, group number 2. So if you like this reading, make sure to like and subscribe. And if you want to leave a comment with some feedback, I always love hearing comments or feedback about the readings that come out here, because I do feel like these things are kind of interesting, and seeing how they apply is very, very fascinating to me. So I'm going to move on to group number 3. So let's get into it. Group number 3, let's see what is the impression that kids have of you, babies and children. How do they see you? Let's get into it. Okay, so we've got Uranus. We've got Dolphin. I'm already getting like kooky energy is the first thing, that you're kooky, you're a kooky person. Like weird, but delightfully weird. Like a mad scientist vibe almost, but like very playful. We've also got Virgin, maintaining symbolic purity of heart and spirit. And isn't that like Virgin used to mean pure and innocent rather than, you know, like what it means these days. So there's like a purity and an innocence to you at the same time. We've also got Refinement, very interesting. And we've got Mushroom Dimensions, everything is connected, connection, magic, open. You seem magical. You literally, straight up this group, you're magical to children. You seem like a character right out of a book or a movie. You know, the first image that came into my mind when I pulled the 2 first cards was Doc from Back to the Future. That was the first imagery that I got, and it's kind of like, you know, you would be someone who would have a time machine, and you would have like all these inventions in your garage or something like that, or in your basement or attic. Like you would have these experiments or cool gadgets or whatever. Maybe you seem like someone who has a lot of good or exciting gadgets. Maybe you're a bit of a gadget person. But there is this sense like you are someone who is still a child at heart. That's what it feels like to children. You're someone who hasn't lost the need for play, the need for to invent, to imagine, to create. I think children see you as very innovative and creative, but you do feel like what's the other one? You know, the one where they go on the bus? Isn't Miss Frazzle? Is that was her name? Where they like got on the bus and they used to go because I don't remember watching that cartoon a lot, but this is like the imagery that I'm getting. It's like a magical bus, and the teacher takes them, and she's always wearing like cool clothes, like kind of kooky things. That's the energy that you give. You're like a character from a book or a movie, and it's fun to talk to you, and it's fun to even just watch you. I feel like some children just love to watch you and to observe what you're gonna say next, how you're gonna say it. um Kids feel very connected to you because there's this sense of like, that is a child in an adult's body. Like, that's the energy that I'm getting. It's like, and not in the way that it's like you're childish or immature. Like, I'm not getting that at all, actually. It just feels like that is someone who hasn't lost their childlike wonder. That is someone that didn't lose their imagination, didn't lose their need to invent, to play pretend. Like, I was talking the other day, actually, I was talking to someone about how manifesting really, to me, or like how I'm starting to think about it, is just about playing pretend. And the way when you were a child, when you played pretend, you would have props, you would have, you know, toys, you would have things that you would play pretend with. Maybe you would write it out like as a little storyboard for yourself. You would play, you would act it out. Playing pretend involves so many different elements. And then once you played pretend, it became more and more real to you, you know? And so manifesting something or trying to bring something into light, I feel like you're a really good manifester, but this is like a side note. I don't think children kind of think about that, but I feel like you are a really good manifester because you still know how to play pretend. You have this connection to playing pretend and imagining and immersing yourself in your imagination. And so you're so good at immersing the children in their own imagination as well because you encourage it. You're very playful energy, but it's like play that you just know how to play. Like, you might be the kind of adult that's actually fun to play with because you actually engage and you get into the game or the you know, the whatever pretend scene that's going on. You're actually into it. You're like, okay, let's go. Like, what's my character? What's the objective here? Like, you know, that kind of way. I feel like maybe you're the kind of adult that children always play with me. Come on, come play with me. Like, that's the energy that I'm getting. So you might even get tired sometimes from the amount of times that children want to play with you or get you to play with them. And but it's because they can tell that you will get into it. You will get involved. You will immerse yourself in it. Whereas like other adults might only half do it, or some adults might only do it to a certain degree and then go, okay, you know, that's it. Or, you know, not engage at all. But with you, it's like they know they would get a really good experience in terms of playfulness and fun. Interesting. But yeah, you do feel like a character from a movie to children and babies. It's like maybe you have really fun outfits, or maybe you dress in a really fun way. Maybe you're quite colorful in your expression, that even externally you seem to have this you have this fun exterior that children are pulled to. You know, it's almost like you could be a Pixar character or something like that to a child or to a baby that's looking at you. Okay, so let's get into the tarot. And what I'm doing is I'm doing a side for how do babies view you, more so because it's obviously going to be a little bit different to how older children view you. And I was saying maybe babies up to 2 years of age or whatever, but like you can decide whatever you want it to be. And with babies, I suppose, because they're not verbal, their thoughts are not really thoughts, they're more feelings. So I'm kind of leaning more so into the feelings that babies have around you. And then moving into the children's energy is probably a bit more thoughts and stuff. So let's get started with the baby energy. How do babies view you? Knight of Pentacles. Yeah, like the Knight of Pentacles, it's like it's not super. There is something very practical about the Knight of Pentacles. Maybe you're someone who creates like practical things. Maybe you're someone who really gets into you feel very practical to a baby, but I'm trying to understand how that concept would even manifest in a baby's mind. Or you feel like someone who moves on from difficult things persistently to a baby. It's almost like babies can sometimes tell that you've been through a lot. And I wonder if, like, this is not like I believe in it, but you don't have to believe in it. It's just, I do feel like babies are very intuitive, and I would love to, I would love to be able to talk to a baby like when they're just born, a newborn, but like obviously that's not possible. But I would say there's so much that babies can sense, and like when we say like babies just sleep and cry, I'd say there's so much that's going on subconsciously for a baby that we can't even comprehend or understand. And there's something that babies are almost like, they can tell that you've been through a lot, but yet you persist and yet you keep going. I'm also getting, with this Knight of Pentacles holding out the pentacle like this, it makes me feel like, maybe, do you find that when you're in public, babies often reach out to you? Like there's almost a way that they reach out to you with their hands or their arms, like they're trying to reach out to you to touch you or to touch your energy. That's what I'm getting. Yeah, there's something very healing about your energy, but also it's interesting because, like, I'm trying to figure out babies, right? They're feeling things, but I feel like they want to touch you, or they want to touch your energy, because something about your energy is very magical. Again, the Star card is making me think of the magical energy. There's a lot of magical energy in this spread. Maybe you have a very bright aura or something like that, and the babies really notice it. But there's also like an energy to you practically moving forward and never stopping, and not really looking back. Not in an unhealthy way, but you always persist. You have a persistent energy. So you're both magical, but there's also this sense, like, you're not so ungrounded that there's nothing practical to you. There is a certain sense of practicality. And again, that makes me think of like an inventor. It's like they're very imaginative and they can use their imagination in a beautiful way, but they always know how to bring it back to practical things, where they will start messing about with physical things to create an invention that is physical and tangible that you can touch. Or an artist who is so imaginative but knows how to bring that onto a canvas or create a sculpture out of it. I wonder if some of you make toys or make kind of like things for children where, again, doesn't have to resonate for everyone, but there is this sense like you create pieces of art or inventions for children of some sort. Maybe you write books for children or something like that. And kids and babies can sense that almost. It's like you like to serve the childlike energy. You like to nurture the childlike energy. You like to be someone who caters to children in some sort of way. You see value in catering to children more than adults, maybe. And again, not one is right or wrong. It's just, this is your truth. Like, you see catering to children as more important than catering to adults. Someone else might see it another way. Someone might see the value in catering to older people more than, and by like the elderly, more than, children. And neither is wrong or right. It's just like your specific energy is for children. The way people say it's like, oh, this character was written by women, or this character was written by this. It's like you were written by a child. It's like, what would be a child's perfect... If a child was trying to imagine for themselves a partner or a sidekick of some kind, that kind of way, like Back to the Future, Doc is this character. It's like you would be written by children as this fun sidekick, mentor, inventor, crazy scientist character. You know, artist, performer, whatever it is. But it's just like you are so fun to be around. Fun and healing. There's something very healing about interacting with you to children. Engaging in some sort of play with you is healing to children. Right, let's get into the older children and what is their... And wow, what? Who are you, group 3? This is mad, this is mad to me. The 2 star cards, and the fact that they're kind of right by side as well. At the very core, you are the star energy. At the very core, and star card is actually ruled by Aquarius, which is ruled by Uranus in modern astrology. So, you do have a very strong Aquarian nature, but it's like, it's the Aquarian nature that is playful, inventive, and experimental. There's something about you not being afraid to experiment, and that's really fun to children as well. We've also got Page of Swords in reverse and 7 of Pentacles. I heard as well, you talk really fast. That's something that's coming through as well. So maybe you have a very fast way of speaking. And I wonder if a lot of children find it almost amusing or funny when you talk really fast and you have a lot of things to say and you're really excited about how you're going to say them. And sometimes I almost feel like sometimes some like older children almost... maybe you can even go a bit too fast for some children. That there's almost that kind of feeling here. So some children that maybe like to go a bit more slow and take their time with things, you're almost too fast for them. But again, it's not necessarily in a really negative way. It's just kind of like, wow, this person talks a lot. This person talks really fast. This person has a lot to say, you know, that kind of way. But I think at the very core, children find you to be magical. And like you lead a very magical life and you have a lot of magical things. Like I feel like children imagine your house and they think there's a lot of really magical things in your house and really cool things. You know, that if they came to your house, it would be like going to an amusement park of some kind, you know? There's that kind of feeling to you. You know, I'm thinking of like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory as well, and like Willy Wonka, you know, sans all the children murders, but like it's there's just something about your energies like, wow, it's like you live in a wonderland or you live in an amusement park. There's something, you know, you're a mad scientist of some sort. There's that kind of perception of you. You're like a very eccentric kind of character to children, but it's something that children love and embrace. It's something that makes children fascinated by you. And again, doesn't have to be true for the way that you see yourself. Doesn't have to be true for how maybe even adults see you. But I feel like that's the way children and babies view you. It's magical is like the overall, if I had to just put one word to it, I would say magical. But that's what I have for you. Very, very interesting. They definitely feel like you're a child at heart yourself. There is that sense of like, this is just another playful child, but they're in an adult's body. That's all it is. And I want to play with this adult for a long time. And we're going to have the best game of pretend. Like that's the energy that I'm picking up. So that's what I have for you, group number 3. So if you enjoyed this reading, do like, subscribe, and comment, especially with your feedback if you feel like it. I'm always excited to see what feedback people have about these readings. And I'm going to move on. So I'm going to leave this here and we're moving on to group number 4. So group number 4, let's get into it. Let's see, what do children view you as? What do they see when they look at you? Babies and children, how do they view you? So we've got Jupiter. We've got Groundhog Spirit. We've got Father. So maybe you are a father if you're watching, or a parent. We've got Courage. And we've got Earth. The world keeps spinning. Completion, fulfillment, success. Yeah, you seem very successful, first and foremost, to children. You know, children might assume that you're rich, whatever the concept of rich is for a child, or, you know, a small child or a kid of some kind. Um, you just seem very successful. You seem like someone who has a lot of money, can afford a lot of really cool things. You do seem like I'm kind of getting larger than life energy with you. Maybe you have a very loud presence, a loud voice, or a very effective voice. Maybe you have very loud laugh. Maybe I also feel like there's something about your energy that seems very big to children. Children feel like you're a giant of some kind. And again, I don't think this comes from a point of view of like your actual physicality. For some of you, maybe. Maybe you're very tall. You know, but you feel like a huge presence in the room. And that could have to do with maybe a child, because I do believe, if you don't believe, that's fine, but like I believe that children can see auras better than us. They can perceive energy better than us. There is this feeling like, wow, this person is big. This person is a big deal in some way. This person has huge energy. But the energy of success or accomplishment is really coming through as well. So whatever the concept that the child might have about you being accomplished or successful, they attribute that to you. Getting very strong fire energy, but like Jupiter, also like Jupiter energy, it's very expansive. It's like you expand the whole room when you come in. It's like you expand the whole energy of the room when you come in. A lot of children might find you very funny as well. Like they could genuinely find you to be very entertaining and funny. But you also appear as someone who makes a lot of adults laugh specifically. I feel like you're someone who comes in and it feels like all of a sudden you've made all the adults in the room feel better. And therefore there's almost this gratitude that children have to you that is a bit unspoken and energetic. It's like, thank you for coming in and making all the adults in the room feel better and be more happy and be more jolly. And that way the energy overall is better. You know, like if their parent is in a, like whatever child you're hanging out with, maybe their parent is in a bad mood or something like that. And you come in and it's like you burst the doors open and you fill the room with good energy, happy, funny energy. And all of a sudden everything seems better again. All of a sudden things feel easier and more joyful and jolly. There's a jolly energy to you. I almost, for some reason, I'm getting you are Santa. But like, again, obviously you don't have to look like Santa. You don't have to even, you know, connect to that specific archetype. But for some reason I'm getting like, you know, literally ho ho ho, you come in, you're jolly, you know, seeing you feels like Christmas, feels like a celebration of some kind. That's another thing that I'm picking up on. It's kind of like when you come, you bring a sense of celebration, fun, enjoyment, laughter with you. You're like you know, there's a saying, I've said this in a couple of my videos, but there's like a saying in Russian, and it's like human party, or a party or a human who's a party. A human who's a party. You are a human who is a party, or a person who is a party. You embody the feeling of celebration. And children feel like it's like it could be the dullest day on earth. It could be the day that, like, the dullest day, nothing is going on. There's no real festivities happening or anything. But when you come into a room or you come into a space, it's like there's a party happening. We're enjoying ourselves. Oh, it's like it feels like a celebration because this specific adult group 4 are here. That's the way children see you. It's literally like you bring Christmas with you. Or you bring some sort of a celebration with you. Maybe you're someone who always has gifts for children. So like if you have children that you are connected to, you could be someone who always has certain gifts or treats for kids. You know, like maybe you're someone who always has like a nice treat, like a chocolate or something like that for kids around. And that like adds to that sense of like, oh, there's something special. Like this person doesn't just come in on their own, they're coming in with gifts. And maybe that's why they see this sense of like luxury and accomplishment and you being rich or you having a lot of money because you're so generous. Generosity does seem to come through here. Now, like, they still see you as like this adult, and maybe in some ways, like, you know, there were some groups where it was like kid literally sees you as a peer. Kid literally sees you as like, this is, you know, you're on a par with me. And then other groups, you know, there was a different energy. With you, it's like you are an adult, but you're an adult that's like, I'm getting like, you know, an adult that winks at the kids like, hey, I know what's going on in your magical world, kids. Like, hey, I'm an adult, but I'm aware that you have, you know, some magical thing happening. It's like, I almost feel like if there was a book or a movie, maybe there is, I can't think of anything right now, but it's like if kids discovered this magical world or something, or they had like an imaginary friend that turned out to be a magical creature or something like that, and they were trying to hide it from the adults, and one of the adults knew the whole time, but they never told the other adults. You know, that kind of feeling. It's like this adult that is clued in but is not going to go telling other adults what's going on in the children's world. Like, that's almost the energy that I'm getting. But very generous, very abundant in their energy. An adult that brings laughter, joy, excitement, celebration with them. Fulfillment of some kind. Right, okay, I like this energy. This is a fun one. Let's get into it. I'm going to move forward with the tarot, and what I'm doing here is I'm pulling a separate energy for how babies view you, because as I said in other groups, it's a little bit more emotional, right? Because babies are not verbal, so there's no real thinking, thoughts, you know, there's no real things like that that I can tap into probably, but feelings and emotions is what I can tap into. And then I'm also pulling a separate energy for kids that are a bit older and then can think and talk with words. So let's get started with babies first, and I'm going to pull a couple of cards from this deck. So babies, we've got the Two of Swords, and we've got the Magician. Yeah, I feel like the Magician energy does resonate here a lot. When you come into a room, the room gains momentum. That's what it feels like. It's like the baby, if like they were in a room and everyone's quiet, or there's a certain energy in the room and it's flowing. It doesn't have to be negative. It's just like a flowing energy. And all of a sudden you come in and there's like momentum and there's more movement and more things are going on as soon as you come into the room, and things are getting done. And it's like there's a dance that almost happens energetically that children, or specifically babies, can sense. But I also love this because like in this card, the Magician is glowing. So I feel like you might have a very bright aura. There was another group like that. And I feel like you're another group where you might have a very bright aura that children are really pulled towards. I feel like with the Two of Swords here, I feel like you clear a lot of stagnant energy, or energy like, you know, isn't going here nor there, because the Two of Swords is this feeling of like something not being decided on, like kind of crossroads, that there's no decision being made, even though the person or the thing knows that the decision needs to be made. And so there's a stuck energy, but that's kind of like, where am I going? This way or this way, or this way or this way? How do I decide? What do I do here? And it's like, if maybe you appear as a very decisive energy. So it's kind of like if nothing is getting done in a room, when you come into a room, things get done all of a sudden. Things start moving because you're not even asking the questions. For example, if you come into a room, you start cleaning the room without asking, should we clean the room or not? Like, that's the energy that I'm getting from the baby's point of view. And we've got the King of Pentacles, which makes sense with the father energy, because the King of Pentacles, to me, is a very fatherly energy, is a very fatherly presence. So you have almost like a fatherly presence, doesn't matter what you identify as, but there could be just a very protective energy with you as well. Like, kids feel protected by you, babies feel protected by you. But it's this kind of protective energy that is very dynamic. It moves. It's not a kind of stable, grounded, rooted in energy. It's a lot more movable and malleable. It's a lot more flexible. But yeah, when you come into a room, a shift is felt in the dynamics and the momentum that things pick up. It's like you make things quicker, you make things more lively in a room that you come into. That's what babies perceive about you. So let's move forward, and we're going to see what do older children, or just children that are not babies, think of you, or what do they feel about you? What is their perception of you? King of Swords. So again, like, there's another king. I don't know, like, maybe you are very grounded in your masculine energy. Your masculine energy could be quite strong and in a very healthy way as well. Again, regardless of whether you identify or how you identify, but there is a very protective energy about you. But it's like you're a fun protector. You're not a solemn protector. You're not a serious protector. You're a playful protector. You're like, it's okay, we can play, we can joke around, but if the time comes, I'll protect you, I'll look after you, I'll take care of you. That's how kids perceive you. It's not necessarily what you say, but it's almost like they can get that from your energy. It's like, if you're kind of like, be yourself, enjoy yourself, let's play, let's joke around. But if someone's mean to you, I'm going to protect you, and I'm going to tell the other person to, beat it. Again, we've got another king. King energy strong. Like, it's almost like, I do feel maybe you have a bit of an emperor energy. Because we've got the three kings. We've got the King of Pentacles, King of Swords, and King of Wands. And the Emperor energy is meant to be all of the kings together. So the only king we're missing right now is the King of Cups. But this is a very strong energy of, like, you encapsulate all that it is to be the perfect protector, the perfect, like, I'm just getting really strong energy of, like, the fun uncle who's like a really protective energy, or if you have a dad who's really, like, protective and fun, and it's like they're fun and protective, but they also can be compassionate, and they can be warm, and they can also have a conversation with you. Like, you're multifaceted in that kind of way. You're multifaceted. And we've got the High Priestess. You have a very, very strong energy, group 4. The High Priestess does make me think that specifically children that are a little bit older, they see you as someone who, I'm definitely getting, especially this High Priestess to me looks like she's very successful. Whenever I look at her here, I'm always like, this looks like a very successful woman, like she's really in control of her life. And so I do feel like this energy that you're presenting is like, you know what you're doing, you're in control of your life, you earn good money. I think a lot of children perceive you as having a very successful job, or having a good job that pays a lot of money, or something like that. For some reason that's coming through. But yeah, you feel protective, but not like in a very warm way. You're like very warm in your protection of, and it's like it's this feeling of like a person who allows you to have fun, and it's really easy to have fun in their presence. But if something goes wrong, they will know how to put their serious cap on. That's what I'm getting with you. It's like children look at you and go, like, that adult, they're joking around, they're jolly, they're making jokes, making people laugh, doing things, they're busy. But if something was to happen, or if we all needed protection right now in this moment, this person would know how to put their thinking cap on and how to zone in and become serious. There's that kind of feeling about you. Like, although you're this bigger than life personality, I suppose, like, I guess, doesn't Santa give that energy? Like, I don't know, like, Santa's energy to me is very much about that. It's like a jolly man who gives presents, and you have this generous energy. You're literally Santa. But it's like a jolly man who gives presents, who eats cookies and milk, and is like bringing joy to all these children. But at the same time, it's like when you were a child, if someone was like, there's a disaster, but Santa is on the case. As a child, you would literally be like, that's cool. That's fine. He's got it. I trust that he has it. That's the energy that you give group 4. This is a funny group. You are obviously a very funny group of people, because I do feel like you know how to make people laugh. You know how to make people laugh, and especially you know how to make children laugh. But I think children really perceive by looking at you that you can make adults laugh. But there's almost this feeling like you make adults laugh, and there's this feeling like you diffuse a lot of situations. You're good at diffusing conflict. You're good at diffusing situations where there's tension. Children really pick up on that about you. And there's almost like a sense of gratitude around it. So yeah, that's what I have for you, group number 4. I hope you enjoyed this reading. This was very interesting to do, really fascinating to do. If you like to do, like, subscribe and comment, especially with your feedback if you feel like it. If you feel like sharing, I'd love to see what you thought. And yeah, I'm gonna leave it here. I hope you have a great week, and I'll talk to you very soon. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.